They're having concerns the police may have lost valuable evidence that could help unravel the murder of Professor Benneh because of the way the crime scene was managed or mismanaged, though the police disagreed. Experts believe tampering with evidence is rife in Ghana and the reason why many criminal cases go unresolved. Dr. Justice Tenkebe, who is a criminologist with the University of Cambridge, now joins me via Zoom to delve deeper into this matter. Thanks so much, Doc, for your time. Do you foresee any challenges with unraveling this murder, considering there's been quite a few that remain unresolved?
Well, thank you for having me. I think there's a sense in which one could look out for what we might call solvability factors. So what kind of factors, if they were present in a case, might make it more likely for the crime to be resolved. But there's also a sense in which different crimes present their unique features, which might make them extremely challenging to resolve. So I'm sure any country that you might take, there will be a so-called cold cases, right? A number of probably high-profile murders that some of them decades, some of them centuries remain unresolved. So it's not an issue that is unique to Ghana or to particular countries. But of course, the more murders go unresolved, the greater the challenge in terms of public confidence in the police. And of course, apart from that, the immediate issue is access to justice, okay, for the victims or their families in this case. Yeah.
Doc, how critical is crime scene management in unraveling such crimes?
Well, I think the police themselves would agree that you would the crime scene is important. You would need to collect some crucial information or data from that site. But it is not the only thing that counts. Of course, you don't want, as I said, you don't want a crime scene to be disturbed. You want it as pristine as possible. But we have advanced in technology in many countries that even when scenes are disturbed, it is still possible to be able to isolate and to identify critical information. So part of the challenge is what is the capacity of the Ghana Police Service to be able to isolate and identify some of those factors. But beyond that, we are talking about intelligence from local communities, support for the police in terms of the flow of information from the public to the police to aid their investigation. So while crime scenes are important, they are not the main or the only issue that might hinder or facilitate the resolution of a case.
In Professor Benneh's case, we are told immediately the body was moved from his house. The house helped clean the area with the blood, where the blood stains were. We're not sure if the police took proper account of the place. And it's not the first time we're seeing this. It happened in J.B. Dankwa's case. It happened in the Gapoa marketing manager's case. I mean, just to mention a few, what does this mean to the investigation?
I think it can pose a challenge, but again, we need to emphasize the point that it's not uncommon sometimes to have even suspects of murder go extreme length to try to clean the scene of a murder, and police technology is still able to identify to recover some of that evidence. So of course, no one wants a crime scene to be cleaned the way that you're suggesting had happened. But of course, one way to resolve that is in terms of maybe a little bit more of public education, that something like that happens. You need to preserve the scene. But we have to, I think, speak with the police to see whether they've got the resources to be able to still uncover that. But I don't think we should approach the issue as if the crime scene is the critical issue, such that without it, cases will go unresolved. I mean, depending on the kind of or the nature of the case that we are confronted with. There's, as I said, it's the issue of whether someone saw a suspect. It's an issue of whether you have CCTV evidence, for example, what kind of course, forensic evidence that they might be able to gather through other ways. So we need to expand our analysis beyond just the crime scene, as it were.
Let me get your mood on this before I let you go, Dr. Tenkebe. Recently, you put together a report on Ghana's crime trends. What did your research uncover?
Okay, so this was work done with my colleague, Dr. Emmanuel Kofi Boachi, at the African Institute for Crime Policy and Governance Research. And we were looking at trends in what the police have defined as major crimes, so murder, robbery, and rape. And part of what we found was that if you took a look at murder rates since at least from 2012 to 2019, and when I talk about rates, I mean that we did the analysis in a way that controlled for year-on-year changes in population. So what we found was that Ghana's murder rates were more or less stable across these time periods that we're looking at, somewhere around 2 murders per 100,000, which is lower than what you find in places like Kenya or Nigeria, but a little bit higher than what you find in places like Singapore or the UK. We also looked at the rates for sexual violence, and although we often are quite exercised by robberies, for example, when you look at Ghana's violent crime data, the one crime that really stands out is sexual violence. So, for example, if you take a place like Greater Accra, the sexual violence rate is 35 per 100,000 as compared to about, I think, 7 or so for robberies. So Ghana's major violent crime problem appears to be sexual violence. And it's quite staggering because this is one crime that we know the victims are less likely to report to the police. And yet, for police statistics to reflect such high incidents is quite worrying. And I think it requires at least as much attention as what we give to robbery incidents.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Justice Tenkebe is a criminologist with the University of Cambridge.